She and had been quite surprised
Yeah, yeah.
to find that it was a translation.
Yeah.
I
What
was,
was your reaction?
well, I was baffled in
Yeah.
my turn,
Yeah.
you know, because introduction, make it clear.
That's true. Yeah.
But it does happen, and it's.
But is that something that you personally feel that should be there as part of the translation work?
Well, I want always for it to be made clear that it's a translation.
Right. Okay.
And this is a funny thing, Giridharan, where the translation is taken for the work. When, for example, people will quote a chunk from anything as written by so-and-so. And it's very confusing because it sounds as if, let's say, a short story by Ambe was written in English, which it is not. And I feel it doesn't do justice to the author or to the translator. You know, I don't claim for this to be the original work. I don't want that mistake to be made. This is Charan's work, and this is Lakshmi's translation.
So do you think a writer can translate their own work? Is it something that will really work for them, or work against their original work?
It's a very unusual person.
Because P.A. Krishnan though he hasn't translated it, but yes, I think
it's always slightly rewritten.
Right.
I think it's the privilege of the author, if fluent in two languages, to rewrite it. I think a translator can't do that without permission from the author. And the author will never let you change it. But, for example, Glen Heather always did her own translations, but they were always rewritten. I remember many years ago when I compiled a little collection of short stories by women called The Inner Courtyard. I did that for. That was also an English publication. Virago published it. And I remember asking Glen, please, can I have this translated from the Urdu? And she said, sorry, I never let anybody touch any of my work. I always translate. But she never translated, she rewrote. And I think she wanted to be able to do that.
Is there any specific reason for that? Maybe to improve on the work, or?
I don't know that it was improving. I think it was how she felt it worked in.
It worked that way, yeah.
But there are very few, and it's exceptional for someone to try. And a good author will say, why would I do that? This was written in Tamil. I wanted to stay that way. Please translate it. But that's your work.
That's not right.
And I think that's right. I think that we need to be very clear about what's in translation and what's the original, and not confused. I get very cross, in fact, when people will say this is by Ambe or this is by Salma. And it's not because I want the acknowledgement. I want it to be clear that this was not how it was.
Sure. Okay. Because this next question is not something that's there in the list of questions I sent you, but about your work on R.K. Narayan's novels. I've not come across major works that talk about R.K. Narayan's novels or stories in Tamil. So, what is your view on his novels? What do you think that is something that because at the same time we had Mauni, Pudunipithan, and so many Ashokan, so many writers at the same time. So what do you think that he brings onto the table that's not there as part of the Tamil writing world?
He's a little bit earlier, I think. I can't remember the dates now. His first novel, Swami and Friends, and very soon following that, Bachelor of Arts, 1935 and 1936. I think this is just a little bit earlier than Mauni, and earlier than Puduvai. Though I would vouch for that. Because very soon, no, I may be wrong, very soon after the Bachelor of Arts was published, Puduvai reviews it for Anand Vigdan, one of these, or it might be Mani Kodi even. And he says, I don't understand why this man is writing in English. He should be, isn't he valuing writing? Narayan's answer to that would be that English was the language in which he wrote. There wasn't, he spoke Tamil and he spoke Kannada, grew up in Mysore. But I think he was happiest writing in English. And he forged a particular kind of English, which was unlike anything English had known before that. And it worked for him. Swami is delightful. And the Bachelor of Arts now. My first thesis was on R.K. Narayan, and I wrote about him in early 1960. It would have been 1960s. It would have been. Persuaded Oxford to let me do a research degree, and nobody knew who R.K. Narayan was, quite honestly, and so they were baffled. But finally, I persuaded a sociologist to be my supervisor, and it happened. I worked on it without any proper supervision. I had to find my own criteria of criticism, and it's not something that I was too happy with at all. I had the opportunity of writing some essays on Narayan much later. I was invited by Trivedi, Harish Trivedi, to do a paper on Narayan when his 100th anniversary happened. And I then said, everybody's written so much about Narayan now. I don't want to churn out anything that hasn't been said, that has been said before. But there's something I would like to do, which is to look at the first Tamil translations of Swami and Friends, which came out almost immediately after that. And more especially, I wanted to look at the translation of The Dark Room. And I only knew about these. This is a very strange thing. Ashoka Mitran, in his wonderful novel, Inspector Shenbaharaman, I think it is, he's writing about an affair Inspector Shenbaharaman has. Am I thinking of the right novella? I think it's Inspector Shenbaharaman. I could go and check it out in a minute. But anyway, it's an affair this character is having. Older man, married, apparently very happily settled, but he falls hopelessly in love with a young, as usual, actress. And he's Yes, I think the mother manipulates this whole thing, and he's got a flat for her, and so on. And there's one occasion when and he's befriended this young boy who is clearly Ashokamitran himself.
Yeah.
And there's one occasion when he invites Ashokamitran, the young fellow, to go to a film with him, and he then brings his brood, his younger sister and brother and a lot. And he's very fond of Shanbharaman's wife.
Yeah.
So the whole lot go to the pictures. And in the middle, at the interval, Shanbharaman says, "Wait for me, I'm just going out and I'll catch up with you when the film has finished."
Yeah.
And the film finishes, they come out and they're standing in the foyer and they're waiting and waiting, and this bloke doesn't turn up. And then it flashes through this young boy's mind, my God, that he's gone to that girl.
Yeah.
Because he takes the young boy with him.
Yeah.
And it clicks in his mind because of a novel which is serialized in Ananda Vigadam, which he's just been reading, and it's called Irutare. So then I said to Ashokamitran, "Have you made this up?"
Yeah.
That there was a serialization of Irutare, which is the dark room in translation. And he said, "No, Lakshmi, I read that novel." So I thought I must dig this out and have a look at how the translation was done. So that was what I proposed to Trivedi.
Right.
And he said, "Fine, that sounds wonderful." So then I had to do a certain amount of detective work. And Roja Mutaya Library in Chennai, bless them, found the serialization. Indeed, it was in Ananda Vigadan. And they photocopied it for me at some expense, but I've got the original illustrations for it and the translation. And it's fascinating because Narayan actually is writing what he himself later described as a feminist novel, a proto-feminist novel, I would call it. And the language in Tamil simply can't cope with
that.
It's very interesting. I remember writing to Annamale to ask about this, and how, there are particular words which are, the translator can't parrot.
Yeah. Because that's interesting, because recently there have been modern authors who looked at R.K. Narayan's works, and there are a few commentaries on his works. One of the main things is I think they have there is a lot of misapprehension.
Mark, come and meet Giridhar.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Bangalore
Bangalore?
and Pondicherry.
Yeah.
Bangalore and Pondicherry?
Yes, that's right.
Where did you come from in Bangalore?
I was working in Bangalore for some time.
Where did you live?
In DRDO
Sorry?
Phase 2. DRDO Phase 2.
No, I
This
didn't.
is near Kalaspalaya.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah, Kalaspalaya, Indranagar. Is where.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, it's close to
I know Bangalore
Indranagar.
very well.
Yeah.
We've just recently been there.
Yes.
But when I first went to Bangalore, it was quite a small seated place. Now it's got the population of London. It's changed a bit.
Yeah. I moved in 2002 to Bangalore, so I came.
But
here.
he's a Pondicherry
You're
person.
Pondicherry.
Yeah, I was born and brought up in Pondicherry. I did my schooling in college.
I once organised a conference in Pondicherry, so I spent some at the Institute Fosse.
Oh, yeah.
So I spent 2 or 3 weeks there.
Oh, that's great.
And they were back there 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
You actually must have told you. I'll let you get on with it.
Yes, we'll have lunch soon. It's nearly 1:30. I'm going to give you some soup and sandwiches, if that's all right.
I've just had my sandwich in the train, so I'll just have a cup of coffee. That should be.
Have some soup. Join us for whatever sandwiches we have.
Alright.
We must have eaten a while ago. So, okay, so let's just finish this and
yes, I'll
then.
leave you to it.
Okay.
So, or have I finished saying what I needed?
Yeah, I think we were going through
Yes, about-
Narayan's thing.
yes.
let's catch up maybe after lunch. It's all right.
Yes, right,
Sure.
fine. I'll leave you